Welcome to the NBA Daily presented by eBay. On today's show, we're talking about the defending champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I'm here with my good friend, Alex Speers, who hosts Slam and Jam with me on Saturdays. You're familiar with him through if you're listening on this feed. But also we host every week a Thunder show called Down to Dunk on Wednesday. So if you want more Thunder content, you can listen to us at Down to Dunk, which is also part of The Athletic. Alex, how's it going?
Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning. Let's talk about the Thunder. We talk about the Thunder every week and all the time in general. But let's rewind a little bit. What do you think is the most impactful thing that happened to the Thunder this offseason?
Most impactful thing that happened to the Thunder this offseason? It's a mix of getting some guys healthy who didn't really contribute as much as the team probably hoped last season.
Sure.
Mainly talking about AJ Mitchell and Nikola Topic.
Yeah.
While also having this J-Dub wrist injury, which at least based on what we heard at Media Day, isn't fully healed yet. Yep. We still don't totally know how long it's going to take to get back to, forget playoff J-Dub because he was still injured at that point, but get back to fully healthy J-Dub so we can see what his next step is. It's still unclear. He was at Media Day describing his wrist as a frozen Laffy Taffy that you're trying to bend. Mm-hmm. And you saw the wrist, you saw that it was still a little swollen. And so I think that combination, we're getting some new guys in, going to be working them into the rotation, but also there's still this kind of question hanging over J-Dub is like, how long is it going to take him to get back? No one's super worried because the team is so deep, but it still is a question, I think.
Yeah, it will be. It could impact the start of the season. He may play anyways. He's played through a lot of things, and so we'll just have to see. A lot of that will just depend on what their docs say. I would also say another significant thing is that they re-signed their big three. They got Shai on a 4-year, $285 million extension. J-Dub signed a 5-year extension worth up to $287, which it will be tough for him to get all of that money. And then Chet signed a 5-year, $250 million deal that doesn't have those escalators in it. And if you haven't heard about this summer, if you're not super dialed into how the Thunder signed these contracts, these escalators for these rookies, the second year maxes, you can get up to 287 if you make all NBA, or if you win MVP, or if you win Defensive Player of the Year. And making all NBA is certainly possible for both of these guys. Chet didn't take any of those escalators for his contract, so it's going to stay flat. And then J-Dub's contract is pretty unique. There have been a few others done like this, but not many, where if he makes the third team, he gets an extra percentage. If he makes the second team, he gets 2%. If he gets all the way up to first team All-NBA or MVP or DPOY, then he gets the full escalator. So it's a really unique contract that is giving back to the Thunder, because if J-Dub does happen to miss time, he's probably not getting any of those escalators.
That's true. I hadn't even thought about that yet.
And it saves the Thunder quite a bit of money when you're talking about percentage of the cap. It would be 10% of the cap essentially between both of these guys that you save that could potentially have been, on the Thunder's books. So they do give back in that way to the Thunder, which I do think is pretty significant, especially when you're talking about a team that will eventually be in the second apron. That's going to pay a lot of money in luxury tax at some point. To have those guys give back a little bit is going to be very helpful.
Yeah, those were team-friendly maxes. They got so much money, but it's still very team-friendly, because I think the situation that happened with Evan Mobley last season, in another world where Chet's healthy for an entire season, that's possible, because as much as Victor Wembanyama is the overwhelming favorite and probably will be the overwhelming favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year every single year, when he has seasons where he doesn't play 65 games, all of a sudden, it's going to be someone else. And that jump that Evan Mobley experienced in his contract, something like that would, if that happened to OKC, which it can't now because of the way contracts are structured, that would really hurt. You're instantly having to move on from players, most likely, because because that jump is going to be so significant. It's going to push them clear into the second apron. And at least for now, I mean, they've got one more season avoiding anything. Mm-hmm. And Presti believes they're going to be able to avoid the repeater tax through the life of this current CBA. That's huge. And that plays into some of those contract negotiations as well.
Yeah. My next question is this. What player do you expect to make the biggest leap this next season?
I think it's Chet. And I know that Chet got some flack in the playoffs, and rightly deserved in some cases because of his offense. His offense was not great in the playoffs. I get it. He shot the ball terribly. His handle was loose. You know, he was turning the ball over in weird situations where it felt like he was trying to do a little too much. One, I think that really overlooks how good he was defensively and how good the Thunder have been on the court when he's played. Like just in the last year's playoffs, he was a plus 7.6, or the OKC was a plus 7.6 when he was on the court. That was the highest among any OKC player who played at least 500 minutes in the playoffs. In 23 playoff games, opponents shot 52.3% within 6 feet of the rim when he was on the court. Chet in the 23-24 playoffs. So this is that series, second round, most people remember against the Mavs, plus 18.2 over those playoffs. Like this team has been so good when Chet is on the court and fall off so significantly. And that's with him not being a very great offensive player yet. And so I think if we see any improvement offensively, his value is just going to become so apparent to everyone. I mean, I think people were really on the Chet bandwagon. And then in the playoffs, because of his offense, and then just coming off these two weird injuries with the Liz Frank injury, his rookie season, and then, falling and breaking this bone that basketball players just don't break usually. People are rightly skeptical about his future. Like, one, is he going to be healthy? And two, what is he going to be offensively? But we saw it at the beginning of last season when he came into that season healthy before he got hurt. Those 10 games, it looked like a completely different offensive player. And I just don't see a reason why we shouldn't expect to get him to get back to some level close to that this upcoming season. He's had a full, healthy offseason to work out. He talked about it at Media Day, all the stuff he's doing. So I think he is the clearest answer for this, because I think if we see any offensive improvement, I mean, if we see any offensive improvement, he's going to be in all-star conversations because the defense is so good already. And those impact metrics are going to be great regardless.
Yeah, I just think getting healthy and even just healing completely from the atrophy that he had in his legs, because after he had that hip injury, he could not move for a long time. And just gaining strength back in his legs, I think is going to be really important for him. I don't know, make all the jokes about Chet having skinny legs. He has very skinny legs, seen him in person. They're very skinny. But still, he had to regain a lot of strength in his body. And I would say with certainty that he didn't have all that strength in the playoffs. And so for him, just go back and look at a couple of his games that he played before he got injured. He was looking like he was heading toward an all-star season. And so,
but also go back and watch him in some of those finals games. Like in Game 7, it looked like he was the only guy on the court who could guard TJ McConnell.
He had 5 blocks in that game.
He was still really good. He just was not great offensively. But I just don't want people to forget that he was so good defensively throughout the playoffs. He was
quite good. Okay. Next question. What are the expectations for the best players on this team? We talked about Chet. I think that we turn to Shai. What are the expectations for Shai? I mean, the guy is coming off MVP, Finals MVP, All-NBA first team, All-Star. What in the world can this guy do this next season?
I don't know. It's hard to expect him to make another jump, because when you're having seasons that you can only really compare to guys like Michael Jordan statistically, it's how much how much more can I really ask of SGA?
Right. Scoring champ as well.
Yeah, scoring champ as well. I mean, even something like his 3-point shooting, which is something that we as fans have harped on for years and years. Because there was this one season where he shot 42% from 3 on about 5 attempts per game. That was his third season in the league, his second season in OKC. And the next few seasons, everything just reverted. Like he just couldn't shoot again. And then all of a sudden he stopped taking threes. Last season, it like started to come back, and he's taking 5.7 per game, shooting 38%. So even that, I don't know if I can really expect him to improve that much more on his 3-pointers. So I guess I'm just interested to see how he responds to last season. He seems like he comes across as the type of guy who is very easy to just forget about what happened last season, and he's going to, attack this new season in a new way. But I don't know what I should expect more than last season. Like, is there any specific skill that you're looking for Shai to improve?
I think his passing can get better. I think the team's passing overall needs to get better, because you could see at times the offense would get pretty bogged down during the playoffs, and it would get in the mud. And there were parts where it was like really tough for them to score, even though this is a great offense during the regular season. I do think his passing overall can get better. I talked to him at Media Day and kind of laid a similar question out to him about this. I listed all his accolades that he achieved last season, and he just talked about how his motivation isn't necessarily for accolades. He said his real interest is in maximizing the basketball player he can be, and like trying to like see where it goes. Like, he doesn't know. I mean, I don't know that he even had, any dreams of this actually being his life. I mean, this is a crazy life for a guy that was not expected to be here. Like, this wasn't like LeBron coming out of high school that people expected to be here. Like, he wasn't expected to be this guy. But his motivation is more so in just like completely maximizing who he can be as a basketball player. And he's just talked about how excited he was to see where it goes. Which should be really exciting for NBA fans, because I do think he's getting better. I don't think he's at his peak yet, and he already has achieved so much. What's weird to me is like thinking about his career. He's only a 3-time All-Star. Like, I think this guy's going to make a lot of All-Star teams. He's only done it 3 times. It's just kind of strange to think about it that way. But Shai still has a long way to go. I mean, he just turned 27 in July. He still has a lot of room for growth, and I don't know exactly what that looks like. But if I were to push the little switch for NBA 2K to one side, I would pick the passing one. I think he can become a better passer. I
think bringing up the passing is a good one, because earlier when I mentioned, bringing in Topic and AJ Mitchell, that's what I was thinking of. This team needs some injection of creative high level passing, and I still don't know if that's going to come from Shai or Dub, even though I do think Dub got better last season. But maybe just injecting those guys in, Topic and AJ, just improves the overall passing of the team, and maybe we do see some kind of jump there from Shai. That would be very exciting. I mean, just thinking about the idea of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander not being at his peak yet is exciting, because last season felt like such a peak season. It felt like, this is obviously the season you'll go back to and look at on Basketball Reference. It'll have all the awards listed out. Like, that'll be the line you look at. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, it is certainly exciting. The next question I have that we've talked about on some of these is like trades, but I don't think the Thunder are a team that's going to be looking to make a lot of moves. One, they won the NBA title and they're bringing everybody back. You don't necessarily need to make moves. They're bringing in Nikola Topic, like you mentioned. They also have Thomas Sorber, who is recovering from an ACL tear. He won't play this year, but he'll come back next year. So like, they have these pieces in place. You also have potentially high draft picks coming for the 2026 draft. So you have like all these pieces that are coming in. But I would say they also won't make trades too, because they are below the tax, like we talked about. So they're not going to take on money that could potentially put them in danger of going into the tax. But I do think, like, if they're going to deal one guy, it's probably Ousmane Dieng, who did not get an extension. He was the only guy that they drafted in that class, including Chet, J-Dub, and J. Will. They all got extensions this summer. Ous did not get one. I don't think we expected him to, but typically the Thunder move on from those kind of guys that don't get their extensions, they usually trade those guys, before the next summer. So I would expect that to be done. But as far as like a lot of moves to be made, I wouldn't have very high expectations for that for OKC.
Yeah, and I think that kind of showed us that last season. I mean, in a season where Chet misses 50 games, Hartenstein misses like another ton of games.
Yeah.
There were moments during that season where the Thunder fan base was calling for trades. Like, can we please get some reinforcements in here? Either because we don't trust our big men coming back and being healthy for a whole playoff run, which they did end up being, or because of the shooting. Like there were moments during that season, and especially during the playoffs even, where you're like, man, this team could use a real shooter. I mean, I remember back in, I guess it was January, like, okay, what would he need to give up to get Cam Johnson on this team?
The Cam Johnson conversation. Yep.
Yeah. And that would have been fun. Would have been fun. But they won the title, so it doesn't really matter for right now until we play Denver in the playoffs and he hits 11 threes in a game. Then it will matter again.
We could have traded for him. What do you think is the biggest swing factor for this team? Like, everybody's now, the conversation shifts from like, yeah, you won the title, it's amazing, what a great team, to, and now can you do it again? What's the biggest swing factor in them actually doing it again?
Okay, so I think there's a couple different ways you could go with this. But it's hard not to say health, because Presti brought it up during his press conference. Yeah. The 11 guys who played during the playoffs, or the playoff rotation in the playoffs, they only played for 11 games together during the regular season. It was something like that.
Yep.
Which is easy to forget because they were so dominant in the regular season. And it's just hard as a Thunder fan not to think about, what if they did get a fully healthy season from their big men? Let's just start with one position. Now, the J-Dub wrist injury does like kind of throw a wrench into that if he's coming in the season not healthy. But I would just love to see what this team's ceiling is if they are completely healthy. Because the other thing about all those guys missing time is we really didn't get a lot of exploration time for that double big lineup until the playoffs. Mm-hmm. That was basically the chance for Mark to really explore that lineup and let's see what it can do. And so getting a more extended period with that double big lineup, because as good as that double big lineup was at times, it clearly wasn't locked in, because as soon as we got to the finals, Mark made a lineup change, which he eventually reverted back to the double big. But it clearly he wasn't so confident in it that it's just like locked in. I'm going to start this every night, because he subbed in Grayson. So I would love to see what that double big lineup can do over the course of a full season, and can something be unlocked there? Because there were times when it felt really good. There are also times when it felt really clunky. And if that is unlocked, that could be a huge swing piece.
Yeah. I think internal development with regards to shooting is really important for this team. And I think
it's almost a must.
It's one of the swing pieces. And specifically in the playoffs, and this is kind of where I point back to the passing, just like getting guys better shots. And I do think I don't know how much Nikola Topic is going to play in this next playoff run. I honestly have no clue what to expect from Topic overall. But I think AJ Mitchell just being a more dynamic player can help that, because you think about some of the other guys that they have coming off the bench. Like Isaiah Joe is like purely a shooter. Aaron Wiggins is purely a scorer. And AJ kind of provides like passing, shooting, scoring, like all of that. Like he's just a much more dynamic offensive player. And so I do think injecting that could help. But when you look at the percentages that these guys shot, the guys that shot worse from three in the playoffs are the following guys. Kenrich Williams shot 20%, played a bit role for the team. Shai was 28%. Chet was 29%. J-Dub was 30%.
So bad.
You can point to the 30% for J-Dub, with the wrist, because it was his shooting hand, of course. But then, or you can also point to Chet at 29% as like, hey, he was recovering from injury still and did not have his legs under him. Okay. Shai at 28%. I think a lot of that was probably the looks that he was getting. And so you look at other guys that did get good looks. Alex Caruso was 41%. Isaiah Joe was 41%. Wiggins was 36%. Even Dort was 34%, and some of that is he's just a streak. He can be really streaky, but they need internal development from their big three, specifically in these high leverage moments. Because I think like if those guys just shoot even closer to their averages from three, we're talking about much shorter series. Like I think you can point to those percentages and specifically some of the ball movement stuff and say that's probably the reason why they had like these 2 7-game series was just their inability to really make shots in some of these high leverage moments.
Yeah, it really revealed their margin of error because they shot 28% from three as a team.
Yeah.
In those playoffs. I don't think you can get away with that again. I think that is eventually going to come and bite you. In fact, I thought it was going to happen this year. Especially like during the Denver series, there were just moments where it's just like they cannot hit a shot. Yeah. No one can hit a shot on this team. We saw it. I mean, it popped up in every single series. What was the game when they only hit 3 threes?
And won? It was game 4 against the Indiana Pacers in the finals.
That was disgusting. What a gross game.
And I think they're like 28 of 30 from 3 or something like that. Or not from 3, from the free throw line.
Yeah.
Like they lived at the free throw line and they nearly died from 3. They made 3 the whole night. I remember Shai hit the one down the stretch of that game 4, and it felt like 100 threes went in that one singular moment because nothing could fall.
They had games in all of their series actually where they hit fewer than 10 threes. Yeah. So shot like 20% a game against Memphis, 26% against Denver, 27% against Minnesota. And to their credit, they have found ways to win those games.
They did.
But if they're going to repeat, I do feel like that has to change.
Yeah,
they were living on a knife's edge for some of those series because of their shooting.
Yeah, and it also revealed their margin for error is pretty wide.
It is. It is.
I don't know what other team could shoot like that and win the NBA title.
But at the same time, like we're all expecting Denver to be better going into the season. So there's some of these West teams that they're going to face that are just going to be the caliber of opponent maybe and probably should be higher in this upcoming playoffs.
It should be. Yes. It should be better than what they played this last year. But things get weird. It was supposed to be this bloodbath this last year. And it was not that it wasn't tough. It was tough. But it should be a little bit harder this year. Okay. Realistic expectations, Al. What's the most realistic expectation for this Thunder team going into this season?
Well, it's hard not to go back and look at recent champions because everyone knows that going back to the 2019 Toronto Raptors, although I guess you could even go back to the 2018 Warriors. No, it wouldn't work with that. If you go back to the Raptors, every champion has not made it past the second round.
Yeah.
And I was just going through playoff rotations for all those teams. And every one of those teams, up until Boston last year, lost at least one piece of their top 8 minutes played. In their main playoff rotation. They lost at least one of those guys. The biggest one, obviously, being Toronto losing Kawhi. But, the Lakers lost Danny Green and Rajon Rondo. Denver, lost Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, who I forgot how much he played in that playoff.
Yeah, he played a lot. Yeah.
But then last year, Boston, they brought back everyone. Yep. And I think a lot of people correctly identified, okay, if a team has a chance to repeat, Boston seems to be the best setup for it. And then they get down 0-2 to the Knicks, and then they lose Jason Tatum. Now, I think OKC's case is even a little bit stronger than Boston's just because of their youth. Yeah. It feels like there's more room for improvement in terms of internal development, and just with all the injuries they experienced during last year's regular season. That said, I feel like the realistic expectation should be, okay, they should make the conference finals. They should make the Western Conference Finals. And then if it comes down to them in Denver, which I think is a lot of people's expectations right now, that's kind of that's the goal. Like you just want to see those two teams healthy and battle it out 7 games and may the best man win. Because I've talked to you about this. Like this era is so strange because we're just getting a different champion every single year. And I really feel like the first team to win their second is going to really solidify themselves as the team of this era. And I think Denver and OKC are clearly best set up to do that. And so I would love to get that rematch of a series, just because that series was terrifying as a Thunder fan, but very fun. I mean, that Game 5 is one of the greatest games I've ever seen.
It's all-timer, the Lou Dort game.
Yeah. But realistic expectations in my head, I'm saying conference finals are bust. Conference finals, or I'll be really mad.
Yeah.
But they obviously have title aspirations. You know, they have an expectation to go back to back, I'm sure, internally. But realistic, they have to at least make the conference finals.
Yeah, I think that is the most realistic outcome as well. And then we'll just have to see where it goes. All right. You can listen to Alex and I on Saturdays, every Saturday during the season on the Saturday Slam and Jam. And then you can listen to us on Down to Dunk every week, the Wednesday show. So be sure to tune in. Hope everybody is doing well. And we will continue our season previews the rest of this week up until the following Monday. And then we will start doing season previews the rest of the week with hopefully some very special guests. So stay locked in to everything here on the Athletic NBA Daily.